When I decided to purchase my Mavic Pro, it was with the idea of a recording video. I soon learned that the stock settings did not produce a very nice result. It's often very jerky and rough. Welcome to this series of basic tips that will help you make smoother video with your Mavic Pro. Do you need an ND filter for your Mavic Pro? The answer is yes. If you want to produce cinematic-like footage outside in the sun, you definitely need an ND filter. This tutorial will cover the basics around ND filters and also help you select the right one to the right lighting situation. If you want to produce smooth-looking footage, a rule of thumb says that you have to have a shutter speed that is the double of the frame rate that you are shooting. This means that if you shoot at 30 frames per second, you would have to have a shutter speed 1/60. If you use a higher shutter speed like 1/200, the footage will look crisp and sharp, but almost too crisp and sharp, and your brain will tell you that something is wrong. It does not look natural, because what we are used to see is something called motion blur, where the footage has been smoothened out. This effect can be obtained by reducing the shutter speed to 1/60, or the double of the frame rate that you're using. With a normal camera, you have both shutter speed, you have ISO setting, and you have aperture to control your scene. With the Mavic, we don't have aperture. We have no way of controlling the amount of light that hits the sensor. With a shutter speed 1/60, ISO is the only handle that we have left to adjust the scene. But cranking up the ISO will not help us. That will just make the picture brighter and even more overexposed. So what do we do? It's like with the humans, if the light is too bright on the outside, we just put on a pair of sunglasses to dim the light. And that will help us to see everything clearly. It's the same we can do with the Mavic. But for the Mavic, it's called a ND filter or a neutral density filter. And this is basically just a pair of sunglasses. ND filters come labeled with a number, and it's 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, where the higher number equals a darker filter. In this tutorial, I will be using a kit that I've bought from eBay. It's from the company called Taco, and it came with a ND 4, 8, 16 and 32 and a UV filter that we will try out in some test footage. The UV filter, you might be wondering what is that for. It does not do much, but at least you can use it to prevent scratches to your lens on a daily basis when you don't need the filter. When I'm out shooting video with my Mavic, I found 2.7K in 30 frames per second produces the best result. I use the color profiles D-Log and or D-Cinelike because those are the ones that preserve the most amount of information when I have to post-process my videos. You have to remember to set the white balance to the environment that you're shooting or the lighting that you're shooting. So if it was today, it would have to be cloudy. You don't want to set it in auto because that only messes with your footage. Now let's look at some test footage recorded with these Taco filters mounted on the Mavic, and let's see how it looks right out of the box. How do you select the right filter for the right scene? If you remember, we had a fixed shutter speed of 1/60. We had the ISO set to 100. So to get a picture that is rightly exposed or slightly underexposed, you need to pick a filter that you think will do the job. And it would be a nice choice to choose 8 or 16 as a starting point, mount it on the Mavic, and then fire up the system. Once the DJI Go app has been connected to the Mavic, you will be able to see the picture. And in the top of this, there's something called the exposure compensation, and you will be able to see from that value if the picture has been exposed correctly. This value should be as close as possible to 0 and no more than 0.7 plus minus to each side. If you want to change the value, this can be done with the dial on the right side of the remote. If the scene is too dark, the camera will automatically try to adjust the shutter speed to let in more light. This means that you can't reach the 1/60 that we want to achieve, meaning that you have to switch to another filter. If the scene is too bright, like if you didn't have a filter mounted, you can't adjust the shutter value to the right value. This means that you would have to put a darker filter on, meaning a higher ND value. In case you can't hit 0 for the compensation value, you should select the filter that will bring you within a 0.7 plus minus. You would like to have the picture underexposed rather than overexposed, because this will help you in the post-production. And now you should be ready to go out and make some great footage. Thank you for watching this tutorial. I hope you can benefit from this. If so, press the like button below, subscribe, and see you on the next one.